going on, everybody? Coach William Grazione here, owner of Metabolic Evolution, bringing you guys the latest evidence-based nutrition and training advice to help you master your metabolism. And in today's video, video 3 of this 3-part series, we're talking about your post-workout meal. So we get questions all the time at Metabolic Evolution. Our clients are asking us, hey Will, what's the best post-workout meal? Just like we talked about in an earlier video, what's your pre-workout meal, and then intra-workout supplementation, which I will tag both of those videos, link both of those in the description down below. But what is the best post-workout meal? So whether or not you guys choose to believe in the so-called anabolic window, there is a lot of application that can go into that specific thought process, the anabolic window, the magical time post-workout. The difference is basically going to be whether or not you had a pre-workout meal and what time you had that pre-workout meal, or if you're like the 5 a.m. crew and you decide to train fasted. So what you guys are looking for is the practical application of what you should have post-workout if you're in a fed state, meaning that you had a pre-workout meal, or if you're in a fasted state, being that you're part of the 5 a.m. training crew. So let's go ahead and cover training in a fed state first, and then we can pretty much go into the application of that. So we're going to break this down into male, female categories, okay? And we're going to provide you nutritional recommendations for each specific one of those groups. Now, if you are training after eating a meal, now most people like to eat a pre-workout meal about an hour before they train. Now, what we know in regards to the muscle protein synthetic response is that the branched chain amino acids within that meal, considering that that meal is having a complete protein source and it's going to maximize muscle protein synthesis, we know that those amino acids can stay in the bloodstream for upwards of 4 hours. So you're going to be in a more anabolic environment, preventing muscle protein breakdown for about 4 hours. So let's just say you had a meal at 12 o'clock noon and you're trained at 1. Well, pretty much you're pretty much going to be anabolic, and there's going to be no down regulation of MPS until probably about 4 p.m. So you could, in theory, just go ahead and stretch out until 4 p.m., eat a meal then. Now, if you started training at 1, maybe you got done training around 3 o'clock, that means you have about an hour post-workout to get that meal or that shake in. Now, post-workout, I like to think about it as an opportune time to get the nutrients in faster. So if I was to have some type of maybe a chicken or a steak or an egg or something like that, that specific type of protein is going to take longer to break down and get into your bloodstream. I want something that's going to get into my bloodstream as fast as possible. So with that being said, usually what I recommend is a whey protein isolate supplement. Now for males, typically if you're a larger male, maybe you have over 150 or more pounds of lean body mass, I'm probably going to recommend between 40 and 60 grams of whey protein isolate immediately post-workout. Now if you're on the larger side, I mean, I have a friend of mine who I prepped for the Mr. Olympia, the natural Mr. Olympia, and he's 270 pounds. I mean, on stage he's 230. So for somebody like that, you know, I'd probably end up recommending probably 60 to 70 grams of whey protein isolate immediately post-training, because he has so much lean muscle tissue to be able to feed. Now, it will depend on what body part you're training. I have a tendency to think that your larger muscle groups can tolerate more protein. The smaller muscle groups may tolerate less, but in regards to men, anywhere from 40 to 60 grams is going to cover about 95% of guys. In regards to females, I think that because they have less lean body mass, you could get away with anywhere from 25 to maybe 35 grams of protein for most females, again, depending on how much lean body mass that specific female has. So that would be ideal post-workout. Get that whey protein isolate in. If you want to stack some carbohydrate on top of that, I would say anywhere from 20 to 40 grams of carbohydrate would be ideal to combine those two sources so that you can really optimize MPS and optimize recovery immediately post-training. Moving forward to training fasted. Some of you are part of that 5 a.m. morning crew, and guys, I used to be just like you. I used to be up every morning, 5 a.m. training with my boy Gillis at Powerhouse Gym Athletic Club, and you could just about guarantee that I was typically always trying to get in a whey protein isolate supplement literally as I'm walking out of the door, or on maybe my last 2 exercises, just because I knew that I was fasted. I knew that muscle protein breakdown had started to occur, so I'm always trying to get that in. In an ideal scenario, the way that I likely would have created this perfect scenario would have likely been I would have had essential amino acids or a scoop of whey protein with water in my shaker cup as I'm training. okay? Because again, I'm trying to prevent muscle protein breakdown. And while I'm training, you know, there's no magic formula for training fasted. Like if you want to do your entire workout training fasted, that's completely up to you, but I don't think it's necessary, and I actually think you're probably going to create more stress on your system training in a fasted state versus training with either essential amino acids or a scoop of whey protein isolate mixed with possibly some carbohydrate sources while you're training. But like I said in the previous 2 videos, you just want to be cautious that you don't go hypoglycemic, and if you do happen to go hypoglycemic with that specific style of shake, intra workout, you're just going to want to add a little bit of fat to that. So maybe it's just adding maybe a spoonful of coconut oil or some kind of oil to help slow down the digestion of the nutrients, and that will stabilize your blood sugar. Okay, so training fasted post-workout, do you get protein in? 100% absolutely. I would recommend within 30 minutes, I'd even recommend having it in a shaker cup, 2 scoops of whey protein at the bottom, shaker cup, down the hatch, you're out the door. If you had carbohydrates intra-workout, I would say that you don't necessarily need them post-workout. As long as you're getting some carbohydrates in throughout the day, that glucose will find its way into your tissues and recover you for the session you're gonna be having the day after. Now, a lot of people have a question about, you know, replenishing glucose stores immediately post-training. Do I think that's important? I think if you are an endurance athlete, if you're something like maybe a CrossFit athlete and you're training multiple times per day, or if you're a bodybuilder and you're training multiple times per day, only if you're training multiple times per day do I think it's a good idea to have some type of rapid absorbing, fast digesting carbohydrate source on the back end of your training session, so that essentially you can make sure that that glucose is available when you're going in to do your next session. But most physique athletes don't train twice a day. Alright, so to go ahead and review that entire video, guys, if you're training in a fed state, you don't need protein immediately following your workout, but it would be a good idea to have something within an hour. And if you are training in a fasted state, it would be a phenomenal idea to make sure you're having some form of whey protein isolate as you're walking out of the gym to help you recover and get ready for your next training session. My name is William Grazione, owner of Metabolic Evolution, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.